Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to you all. Today in the grade 7 for the subject physics we are going to continue our new lesson. We are going to start here, that is for the chapter 14, more about forces. Here from the page 82 we are going to start the new lesson, that is for the forces. So in the today's lesson, what are the learning objectives we are going to see here. First thing, that what is force. In that we are going to see that what is friction and how do we reduce the friction, that is reducing friction and the advantages of friction. So the first thing which we are going to see here, that is what is force. So here the force is when two or more forces act on an object. At the same time, the forces combine to form the net force. And also we can see here from this that the forces on an object that are equal in size and opposite in direction are called balance forces. So here you can say that equal and opposite, they are equal in size and opposite in the direction, and hence they are called as the balance forces. So now here you can look here that another thing, that when a rope is being pulled with the two different persons and it is being, how the force is there. So here the different types of forces which we can see here in our day-to-day life. Here about the further thing, we are talking about the friction. Particularly we can see here the friction is that thing where we can say that the opposing force which acts in the opposite direction of the movement of the upper body is called the friction or the friction force. Here you can see that this is the upper body where the opposing force which acts in the opposite direction. So here this is the friction. You are pushing it to the direction where it is showing that the pushing force, and the friction is in the opposite direction. So this is what we can say that the friction. In another way, the friction, when a motion occurs or about to occur between the two surfaces in contact, at that time because of interlocking of irregularities, these forces oppose the motion, and we can say that resisting force that is generated due to the interlocking opposite to the motion is called the force of friction. So we can see from this picture where you can say that the friction force, it is in the opposite direction, the pulling of the things, the person is pulling the thing, and it is the friction, that the force is on the opposite direction. Here also in this diagram we can see that the friction force. So here how we can reduce this friction force, that reducing the friction are different ways by which we can reduce the friction. First thing that we can say that reduce the contact area by using rollers or ball bearing wheels, which we can see in the vehicles particularly, or many other devices. We can see that such kind of ball bearings are there, or we can see that it is there in the wheels. Now here the another thing, that is the change the surface of the materials that are touching by using lubrication like motor oil or wax or grease. The third thing that we are talking about, roll objects instead of sliding them. And the third, that is about the create a cushion of air. So here we can find, for example, like how a hovercraft or air hockey table, you can see that here hovercraft and air hockey table, where we can see that such kind of air cushions are being created. So by which we can reduce, by these ways, these are the different ways by which we can reduce the friction. Also we can see here in this picture, if you are talking about view through a microscope, here is the without oil, and if there is a oil is put here in this, then what kind of frictions you are observing. So it is the effect of lubricants. So which we can say that the reducing kinetic friction using the lubricants. So this is the way that we can reduce the friction. Also here there are different pictures which are showing that applying lubricants, applying oils, and adding the wheels to the trolley bags, and polishing the surfaces, where you can see that also by using the ball bearings we can reduce the friction. So the next part that we are talking about, the advantages of friction. So friction plays a vital role in our daily life. Without friction we are handicapped, means we are unable to do the things, so many things. So it is because of the things that it becomes difficult to walk on a slippery road due to low friction. When we move on ice, it becomes difficult to walk due to low friction of ice. Also we can say that we cannot fix nail in the wood or wall if there is no friction in that, and also it is friction which holds the nail. The third thing we can say that a horse cannot pull a cart unless friction finishes him a secure foothold. So these are the ways by which we can say that these different things that can be done, and we can say that these are the advantages of friction. So here you can see the matchstick. If you are striking a matchstick, it need a friction. Also here shoes of cricket player, we can see that it needs some frictions, whereas the vehicles like the cars and all, we are able to drive on the slippery surfaces also, and this is just because of the friction. Also writing on the paper needs to be it is also an example of friction. So these are the advantages of friction. So now with this we can say that there are some another examples where walking, also driving a car and holding a glass or writing anything like that, we can say that these are the different things which we can do with the friction. So advantages of friction. Here we are going to conclude the today's lesson. I'll be back with the new video for the further part of the lesson. Till then, thank you and goodbye.